There I am.
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
What's up? How are you?
I'm good. Are you in the treehouse?
I figured it'd be more fun to do it out here.
Oh man. So, can you show people your treehouse with your ropes? Because it's
Can you see my feet dangling?
yes, you're making my
Oh,
stuff
cool.
twitch.
Yeah.
Is it?
And
Oh man.
I'm connected. Last time I did this with Batch, and I forgot to bring my harness up, so my wife would be pissed if I didn't have my harness on. But yeah, you got my rings, right?
Awesome.
So you can swing all the way across.
Have you done that? Have you swung across?
What do you think? Of course.
I know, man. You're crazy. Tarl had me climbing that in the snow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the cargo net you can't see from here, but yeah. Do you already have participants in here? Oh my God, you do.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm on my phone, so I have no idea.
Yeah, we do. We do. All right. Well,
Well,
I
I
know
was
you
just
were.
telling Steve we need to change our flights on Sunday because we both have 7 a.m. flights Sunday leaving.
Oh, you definitely got to change that. Yeah, I got my slack line. You can see the slack line. Oh.
Dude, I need to know how many lessons I need to teach when I'm up there because I gotta get mentally prepared to teach these rope lessons.
Oh yeah. And then I got rappel stations. I have cargo net climb that's about 25 feet up. I don't have a place to jump yet, so you can't do that. But yeah, there's some cool stuff.
Are we going to the theater in the trees like you promised me? Are we going to see that place?
Oh my God, I forgot about that. That's a really good idea. Oh my God, actually, that's what we can do Saturday. Oh, okay. So let me see if I can make that happen.
Promise.
No, it was a suggestion.
Go
but let me see. Damn it. Okay. Yeah, I totally forgot. We were trying to figure out what we could do for all the speakers. That would be the most epic thing we could do for the speakers. So let me see if we can make that happen.
When I saw you, that's what you were saying. You're like, we'll do it with all the speakers. We'll have a big party at this guy's a movie theater in a tree, like a treehouse movie theater.
Good.
Now, if you guys have ever seen Animal Planet's Treehouse Masters, it's the Animal Planet Treehouse Masters actually built the world's first only you're 25 to 30 feet up in the air. It's a full-on hardcore movie theater. It looks like an Ewoks village. There's concession stands. It's crazy. It's awesome. It's the 100th episode on the Treehouse Masters on Animal Planet. If you actually go look it up, you'll see, YouTube it. You'll see it there. So it's great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so we got more people on. We got what do we got, like 70 people or something? So we'll start. I'm sure more will jump on. Tarl's so famous, he may clog the airways as it is. But let me
actually, it's funny, Steve. The other day, I was at the store and people were like, "Hey, are you Steve Rozenberg?" And I'm like, "Oh, it happened again. Everybody keeps confusing me to be you."
It happens, man. I mean, on the surfboard in Maui. Snowboarding up in the mountains. I mean, that's normal. So
it's embarrassing actually. I feel.
I know. It's the cross I bear, right? I mean, that's just what I do. It's just the burden I have, right? So it could be worse, man. At least you have your hair. It could be worse.
Yeah, that's true for now.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Well, let's get started. I know Tarl has a hard stop. He's got another show he's doing. So again, just out of respect for Tarl and everyone else, if you guys are snapping, grinding, tweeting, just make sure you're not doing any of those things. For everyone that stays to the end, so you got to stay to the end, we're going to give you a discount coupon to Tarl's PNW Badass Expo, which we're going to talk about because it is freaking amazing. And the amount of people he has on every single year keeps getting better and better. I'm waiting for me to get pushed off the back end, but I keep kind of hanging on somehow. So I'm glad I'm coming to speak this year. Ashley's coming. So real quick, Tarl and I have an interesting story about how we met. I'll tell you guys real quickly. As you all know, that I'm a big believer in being self-development, mentored, trained. Tarl is as well. And we actually had one of the same mentors on Mindset, a gentleman named Marshall Silver. And Marshall tells me one time, it's about 5 years ago, he says, "Oh, you should meet my friend up in Seattle. His name is Tarl." And I'm like, "Carl?" And he's like, "No, Tarl." I'm like, with a T? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, wow, that's a weird name. I've never heard that. And he's like, yeah, he does some flipping and stuff. You should meet him. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. So about a month later, I'm on a radio show in Seattle, and there's a guy named Tarl on the show. And I'm thinking, that's a weird name. I know I've heard that name before. And we start talking about buying properties in Houston, and we're on the radio, and Tarl's talking, I'm talking. And I don't know how we basically put together that is the Tarl that Marshall was talking about. So we kind of started having this conversation on the radio about how we were both mentored by the same guy. And then about another month or 2 months later, Marshall has a big party at his house in Oceanside, and Tarl comes down.
Carlsbad.
Oh, sorry, Carlsbad. Thank you, Carlsbad. So Tarl comes down. I come down. We finally meet. We get along. We notice we look very similar. A lot of same characteristics. And we talk about.
Turned on.
Yes. It was very, very interesting and odd at the same time. But
we've seen the photos.
Yes. And so we talk about, hey, we should come up and do this mastermind or a meetup, or we should do something together. Like, we get along. Well, that was the birth of what Tarl's PNW is today, was us having a conversation. And obviously Tarl took this thing and 10x'd it and has just exploded.
I removed you from the picture completely.
I know.
Then I was just like, I got a better idea. Get out of here. So
yes.
Yeah, we originally were like, we should just do something together and talk on stage. I'm like, that's dumb. Why should we ever do that? And then like a few weeks later, I'm like, I started the best conference in the world, right? Thank you. So the period, and we're doing it for 4 years now. It's pretty epic. And every now and then you're a guest there. Yeah.
It is awesome. It is awesome. So Tarl, if people have been living under a rock and they don't know who Tarl Yarber is, give them a quick heads up of who you are, what you've done, and then we'll let the questions fly, and we'll kind of go from here.
So Tarl Yarber, I live outside of Seattle, Washington, thankfully. And I am more known for fix and flip homes. And lately we've been doing a ton of BRRR properties, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. And living more of a lifestyle business. So, but between 2011-ish, 2012 to now, we've done a little over 600 properties, mostly fix and flip. And so most of it, some of it was in multiple states, 7 different states. But since 2014, I've been pretty much exclusively in either the Washington market or the Portland market in Oregon. But right now I'm only in the Seattle, Tacoma market for our real estate business. We also run a real estate events business, and we do a lot of stuff for Bigger Pockets, right? You can check out a lot of my YouTube videos on the Bigger Pockets YouTube channel, and they way outperform any of Steve's videos, like every time. It's crazy. But we do a lot of videos there for about like our rehab walkthroughs, a lot of processes to be able to show you guys how we do our flips, start to finish, that kind of stuff, as well as our BRRR properties, a lot of those. That we've been doing too. So I was just on the Bigger Pockets podcast again, and I can't remember what number it is. I think it's like 396, 98, 390, something like that. Just came out. Check it out. And our virtual conference, which is virtual this year, will have well over 1,000, probably 2,000 people at it. It is highly focused on networking, even though there's 40 sessions with speakers, and even including Robert Kiyosaki and Ken McElroy, Brandon Turner, Steve Rozenberg, Ashley Kerr. They'll all be there too. We have an entire community networking area where you can set up your own virtual meetups. Like, you can actually do this video conferencing with anybody at the event that wants to do it with you. You can set up your own networking sessions. There's a bunch of stuff you could do virtually throughout our platforms that we purchased to be able to do it. So it's going to be a cool, very cool event.
Steve and I are speaking at the same time, so the competition is on to see who gets the most viewers.
Is that how I set it up? Oh boy. All right.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Tarl. Couldn't you help me out a little bit?
Honestly, I figured neither one of you guys would want to hear each other. So I think that's why we did that. Yeah.
Good point.
It's true. We are sick of each other.
Yes. Yeah. So Tarl, like, tell everybody, a lot of people in here are maybe somewhere, maybe 0 to 50 flips, let's say, in general. Mm-hmm. What kind of advice would you give them for people that are trying to get some kind of rhythm to scale, to how they can keep this thing growing and expanding to what they're doing, to what you've done?
So, all right. So everything in our business, so you talk about scale. This is something I really harp on big time, especially what's been going on in the world economy. Like right now, like real estate's, for lack of a better word, I'm going to cuss, fucking awesome right now, right? For depending on where you're at, values are going up, rates are super low. People that normally couldn't buy a home are buying a home now. right? That kind of stuff is going on. And because of that, prices are increasing, specifically in certain markets. Like certain markets, it's really increasing for price home values, which mostly is driven by the interest rates that are happening right now. But what I'm trying to say is that when we talk about scalability, most of us mistakenly think scale up, right? But scalability is the ability to scale up and scale down. And if your business is stuck if you build out a business that keeps building and grinding going up, but you have no ability to scale down, then it's not a scalable business. That's the point of it. So my encouragement is that if you decide to go down the route that you want to increase your business size, like maybe going from 1 flip to 10 flips, or doing, and this is not just like going from 1 to 10, it's doing it like either simultaneously or doing multiple rentals at a time and be able to build staff up and grow, then you need to make sure you're building out processes and systems that can grow with you and also descale down. So essentially, we've chunked our business into 4 boxes where we go like, okay, where do we put our efforts into? And if you're going to go scale on, like, say, flips, just because we'll use that, which is the same as a BRRR, by the way, in my opinion. The only difference between the two is you don't sell the BRRR, you keep it and rent it out, right? But other than that, it's identical process, in my opinion. And I'll be doing a whole thing on that at our conference. But that said, is we chunk out acquisitions. So can you scale and build up some sort of acquisitions funnel for yourself to be able to get the properties that you need and then fund them? That's in the same category. And then do you have a way to plan out the property? So that's a whole process too. So can you, once you find a property that you want to acquire, do you have a process to be able to go, this is what we're going to do to it to get the highest and best use or value or the exit strategy that we chose for this particular property? So what's your planning process? And then what's your rehab process? Like, actually, how do you rehab it to get it to the finish line on a timely manner? And then what's your disposition process, which is like, are you refinancing it? Are you selling it? Are you putting tenants in it? That kind of stuff. And those are the 4 boxes we really focus on in our business. And each one, it's its own lane. Each one's its own category. Each thing's its own process, but they all communicate and talk together. There's a lot there that I just data dumped, but if you're going to grow a business, you have to, in our business, those are the 4 things we focus on.
Hey, Tarl, I know we've got a bunch of questions from people. I've got a question. I know you and I, we're both big believers on strategies and goals. When you get a deal, do you then define the strategy you're going to use with that? Like, so you get this property and say, okay, this is this strategy, I'm going down this path, or do you already create the strategy first and then you look for the deal?
So for us, I can only speak from my personal wealth of experience, is I believe in niches, and I believe in picking a strategy and then like sticking to it. I think one of the challenges that most people in our business do, and I'm not saying newer investors, I'm saying like most people in our business do, like even if they've been in it for a while, is they try to do too many things, or they try to focus on too many opportunities, and they spread themselves out too thin, and they don't really get good at any of it. There was a period of time in my career where I had like 5 different investment strategies and businesses and all sorts of crazy stuff going on. And I didn't start making any real success until I said, I buy fix and flip, 15% cash on cash or more, right? In King and Pierce County in Portland. I don't do pop tops, which means like build above, I don't build a second story. I don't pop it off and go high. And I also don't build additions. So I don't add additional exterior footprint to a property. If it fits in any of those other realms, I buy it, right? So, and that's all I did, especially during 2014, 15, 16, and 17, is that's it. I had the greatest success in my career personally, during that time period where I only did that one thing. So to answer your question the really long way, is that we absolutely had a strategy before we bought it, because we only bought certain types of strategic properties, right? So we knew what we were going to do, and we figured it out, and we got better and better and better at it throughout the years. And then once we got really good at it, we started adding on and adjusting our strategies to new things and getting better at those. So I think like master one, then add on. But if you just like are winging it and you show up with the property and go like, let's see if this one works out, we'll try it this way, right? That's not a business, that's a hobby, and good luck. So
yeah, and it's very reactionary because you're not, you don't have a plan moving forward. That's the problem. Yeah.
I want to ask some of the questions that are in the chat here. So the first one is from Kimmy. It is, what was the most expensive lesson you learned while doing
$86,900 and something dollars or whatever, I think what it was. And that was the first property I ever lost money on. And that wasn't the most expensive lesson. That was the most expensive, like, actual real dollars coming out of the bank account lesson. And that was a particular flip that I did in Portland, Oregon. And the lesson that I had on that one in particular was, like, if you would have talked to me, like, leading up to, I think this was in 2017 when I lost the money on that property. Like, but I bought the property in 2016. And if you would have talked to me during any time between 2011, then whatever, I'd always say, never get emotional about your deals, ever, right? This is an objective business, always. Always have a system and process in place for your business, for your properties. Always know a strategy for it. I don't know why, but this was the one property I said, screw all that advice, and let's just do it emotionally and have no strategy for it whatsoever. So I bought the house emotionally because somebody upset me that was down there, one of my acquisitions guys, and I just, like, got into the deal, and, like, I didn't buy it the right way. I should have never bought it. And then when we were managing the project, like, I didn't have my team involved on this one. I don't know why. I just made so many bad mistakes because I stopped following our own good advice and our own good processes. But honestly, most of the reason why that property went south was because of my pure emotion in that deal. And then also I trusted friendships and people, whatever. I didn't verify certain things as well throughout it. I just took people's word for it on the property as well. So trust but verify is a big thing. So that was the most expensive dollar value. But there's a bunch of freaking other lessons that I've experienced over the years. But that's the first one that comes to mind. Yeah, don't get emotional. It's just numbers.
The next question is from Eric, and it's, what's your business model for deal acquisitions? In-house sourcing, wholesalers, MLS?
Good question. So yes. So honestly, right now, most of the in our particular market in the Seattle, Washington area, off-market deals and wholesalers are almost the same equivalent as the MLS, right? So it's, depending on where you are, like, a lot of investors that I know that are in, like, the middle of the United States and other places, they still buy on the MLS. There's still properties. There's plenty of deals in certain areas depending on their, like, acquisition strategy. For us, being in a, like, really high appreciating market inside Seattle area, and when you have a limited ability to build new homes and new development, so there's been a supply issue in the Seattle market since 2012, 2013. It's always been that way. Off market is the thing here. So although a wholesaler right now can, like, there's, like, a whole market for wholesalers here. So we all know about it. But we do that, and then we also have an inside sales guy, Nate, who we do our own marketing as well. So we have a CRM we use called a REI Upgrade, so you can check it out. The site's getting launched here soon from them internally, but we use that CRM to manage, like, our calls and text messages and all that kind of stuff. And we do some direct mailing, but most everything we do right now is off-market marketing. Is the wholesalers and getting it from off-market marketers.
Alan wants to know, how are you structuring your GC contracts? More specifically, when do you have the hard stops for inspections and payments? How many draws and how much do you hold for the end and the final inspection?
Man, okay, so I really should do
in that order
on that one. No, I can answer this. Like, I'm just trying to figure out how to answer it, like, without taking the whole time. So I'll tell you what, like, if you would have told me that our business would involve me knowing as much as I know about construction, then I probably would have never started the business if I would have known back then, just because, like, I never planned on ever knowing as much about construction management as we do now. But you have to know your own state specific laws. So just know that, like, too, because contractor laws are different in each state. So just be aware of that. But what we do is, I don't sign the general contractor's contract, right? We used to, right? But most general contractor contracts, if you can imagine, are really protective of the general contractor, right? So 50% deposits, and they can do whatever the hell they want, and change orders are approved, period, like all that kind of stuff. So we have our own contract that we got made up that we make the general contractor sign before we ever pay a deposit or draws or anything like that whatsoever. So we have a whole process for that. So they have to sign ours. I'll never sign theirs. And if they don't sign ours, then I don't hire them. So I'm just really strong on that. So they should be wanting to be a team member with us. And so that said, though, our general contractor contracts have a specific date that they have to complete the project by, but we let them choose that date. And that's one of the tricks is like our contract basically states that if they don't complete the job on that date or before, then they get charged $125 a day for every day that they're late on completing. However, they also get $125 a day bonus for every day that they complete the job prior to that date. But one of the tricks that we've learned over the years, or strategies, probably a better word, is we let the contractor pick that date. And they almost always pick a date that they're never going to hit because they just want to impress us or something or whatever. Like, so they say, "Oh, I'll have this $80,000 job done in 3 weeks," which is total bullshit. That'll never happen. But so we say, "Okay, how about we give you 6 weeks instead?" Right? Like, I'll give you 6 weeks, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, totally. We'll definitely knock it out." And when it's 8 weeks later, right, and they're complaining about us charging them $125 a day, I could remind them that they said 3 weeks and we gave them 6 weeks. So that's a thing we do all the time. I've never had a contractor hit the date, but maybe like once, right, ever. And we're always giving them extra time. So we do that. That encourages it. We don't get more than a 20% deposit. We structure our draws based off of completion. So we'll never, ever, ever pay a contractor past what they've done. And that's to secure you with what you need. If they say, "I need money for materials," like I can't go any farther because I don't have any money for materials. There's two things going on there. One, they're a broke contractor and you probably hired one that doesn't know how to run their business. And then two, if that is the case, I'll pay for the material at that point with whatever supplier they're using. I'm not going to give them the money for the materials at that point, only because I want to control the cost of that. And keep in mind, I'm not the one that runs all that stuff. But at one point I was. So, dude, I could spend this entire freaking webinar on.
Hey, Tarl, can you touch a little bit? I know we got a ton of questions, but I want to talk a little bit about how you structure your deal. Like when you showed me Asana, right? How you run everything, and you use Asana in what, Smart Sheets? Is that right?
Dropbox, Smartsheet, Asana.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit? Because I know a lot of people, want to understand how to control these deals. And I mean, you're like a master at this. I was so impressed when I saw how you had this set up. Can you touch a little bit about that and why each one's important to you?
Yeah. So we wouldn't be able to do anything we do without technology. And we have a really
my friendship,
good
right?
friend. So technology is really important in our business. But my really good friend, Jay Scott, he uses, like, when I showed him everything I did, like, he's just like, I just use Excel, right? Like, so he's got 65 Excel spreadsheets or whatever. It's crazy. So the point of that, though, is that it works. Figure out what works for you. For him, it's Excel. For us, it's Dropbox, Smartsheet, and Asana. So, and the reason for those three programs is that all of them are cloud-based, and I can run all of them on my phone. So I don't ever want to be tied down to a computer to do what we do, just because we like to travel and have fun. But if you chunk those three tech softwares into different like sections, Dropbox is a file storage system, right? It's a cloud-based file storage system. If I had to go back in time, I would use Google Drive, right? So if you're using Google Drive, stay with that. If you're already fully integrated with Dropbox, make a choice to either jump over to Google Drive or stay with Dropbox. We stuck with Dropbox because by the time I even knew Google Drive existed, I think Dropbox had already been around for a while longer, and I was already too fully integrated in there, and I can't get out of it now. But that's a file storage. So we set up, one way we use Dropbox, this is one of many ways we use it, is we have a specific folder for every single property. And that folder is set up identically for every single property. So there's no ever way that we need to go this is just file management, basically, right? We don't have to go searching for whatever we're looking for. So we take photos of every property once a week, minimum, 100+ photos of that property. And then it goes into the Dropbox folder associated with that file for that property. There's a whole process for that. I think I've shown it on some of our YouTube videos, but besides the point, really, really important. We wouldn't be able to exist without Dropbox and keep everything organized, especially as you're starting to like ramp up. Like the other day I did a webinar for a buddy of mine, and we brought up a property I did back in 2015 or whatever. I was literally right there in the middle of the webinar, able to open my Dropbox, pull that exact property up and show the photos of before we took it and the photos after and during. And like, I was able to show it right there because we're organized that well. I encourage everybody to start with that, is get your stuff organized and have a process for duplicating it. Because if you add any team members to your stuff, and Steve, you know this running your property management company, is you start adding staff and team members and everybody has a different way to access whatever's going on, it's chaos, right? You should have a systemized SOP type process for filing things, right? So imagine if it's all paper and you just had like a different folder all over the freaking place and everything's disorganized, you'll never find anything. So it's the same thing with Dropbox. I've talked a lot about that.
Well, and
Smartsheet.
If all of a sudden somebody steps in and you have to remove that person from working for you and you have to hire someone else, where do they find all that stuff, you know?
Absolutely. And if your system only works because you're the one working in it, it's not a system. And it's just your personal process. Just remember that. The thing that I would also say is stay away from Smartsheet. That's what we use. We use it a lot, but stay away from that software unless you plan on investing money or a shit ton of time in it. So if you just went and got Smartsheet today and started trying to use it for your business, you're going to like wonder why you spent so much money on an overcomplicated Excel program. But it's freaking awesome if you actually adapt it to your business. Like, it's amazing. We all our finished packets, our scopes of work, everything is built through it. But I do not encourage anybody to use it unless they want to invest the time, money, energy into building that out. There's no real template for that stuff. You have to create it. So stay away from it unless you really want to commit to it. Asana, though, anybody can use. ASANA. Asana is a task management, project management platform and a communication platform as well. Even if you're by yourself, you can use Asana because you can build your SOP templates for your projects and how to do it all right in there. I think it's an amazing, very user-friendly platform for all that stuff. And the second you start having team members into your group, doesn't even matter if they're full-time, part-time, independent contractor, virtual assistant, Asana will make your guys' lives a million times easier for communication and task management and tracking. If you use it effectively. And just like any of these things, none of it works if you're not working it. So it's your team has to be in it, you have to be in it, you have to be using it, period. So, and I'm the worst at all of it. So.
Well, you have teams that do it, so you don't have to be the good at it, right?
No, I'll literally I'll text Serena, who's on our team, and be like, hey, can you put in Asana? Whatever, and so I'll text her. She hates that, but my team will communicate through Asana, and I'll text them all, group text. Hey, I noticed you guys were communicating Asana, blah, 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 put it in there, right? And then I'm getting better at it personally. I just had to create it, and then they did it. Whatever. I'm a jerk, so yes.
What about for buying and selling, buying and selling, and ones you rent out? Do you have a CRM for that?
So acquisitions is different. So acquisitions, you're doing lead management at that point. So you're focused on either building a funnel with potential sellers, getting into that, and like you might have huge follow-up, 2 years, 3 years just for one seller. I mean, like, so you have to have a CRM for that for sure. Asana is not meant for that, so don't use that. But it links into other CRMs if you want to. We use a Podio-based program that's run through REI Upgrade. So I think it's REI Butler, but they're launching their new stuff at our virtual conference that's coming up September 18, 19. But that's the program we use for our CRM management for our acquisition side. On the disposition side, we still use Asana. And for the rental side, we use Cozy, COZY.co. We use that for our rentals because we don't have a massive portfolio that needs one of those big, huge property manager platforms that cost a shit ton of money. But Cozy's perfect if you have like less than 100 rentals, in my opinion. But once you start getting bigger, you really need some major, or maybe 50 might be the cap. I'm not sure for that. But yeah. But I stay out of that. That's not my lane. That's my wife's lane. So you should have her on here if you want to talk about that.
Jacob's question is, what's one thing that you wish someone would have told you when you started out?
You guys got a lot of good questions on this thing. Usually nobody asks questions. It's great. I wish, okay. So don't be such a nice guy. There you go. That's hard to say because I think a lot of where we are in our business is because I'm a nice guy, but and by nice, I mean like business nice. And, I sometimes I would just trust people and be like, they said they're going to do it. No big deal. Or I would, but what I mean by nice is that a lot of people wish and hope and want to have a handshake deal still be a thing, right? Which with the right people it is. But contracts make, how do I say it? Contracts make friends stay friends. So always remember that, right? So get it in writing, even if it's your mother, brother, sister, best friend, whatever. Because the second something goes south, you're going to wish you had something in writing. And if there's an argument about something, then you can objectively go back to the contract when you guys weren't angry at each other. So definitely get everything in writing. So that's part of being a nice guy. And contracts make honest people stay more honest. Because if you're not an honest person, it doesn't matter if you have a contract or not. So I guess what I'm trying to say as a piece of advice is whatever business arrangements you're going to get with people on, get it in writing somewhere. You're going to want that if something bad happens. Just put it that way. That's probably the best advice I can give when starting out is, yeah.
Hey, Tarl.
If you give me more time, I'll make something else up. So
yeah. We know you got a big podcast after with Brandon Turner, so we don't want to keep it long.
I got 30 more minutes, bro. It's all good.
Okay. Hey, someone's asking the question about how many hours you work on your business. Before you say that, when I met Tarl, the funny thing about Tarl was he had said he hates real estate, and I think he said you hated people too. I'm not sure, but I know you.
No, just you. Yeah.
Maybe it's just me. Yeah, you did stare at me for a while when you said that, actually, for the record. But
yeah,
you didn't like real estate. You weren't a big fan of it. And I know Marshall talked to you about that. And when I was in Maui with you and Grace and all the people last year, you had told me about how you changed your life to work around your business as opposed to your business.
Yes.
No. Explain how you said it.
Most people build their business and their work first, right? They build their business first. They wrap their life around their business first, everything first. And then whatever they have left over, they adapt their life to that. So our buddy Thatch, who you should have on here sometime, Thatch Nguyen, who was on the Bigger Pockets podcast not that long ago. It was in 2017, and 2017, I was going through like a quarter life crisis or something, I don't know. But he had said like, it was like that right time in that right moment where he was like, if you just like focus on what you want your life to look like and why don't you just write that all out and figure out what you want your life and your day to look like, and then make your business fit that, like adapt your business to fit your life and not the other way around. I'm like, you could do that? Oh my God, that's amazing. So, and I might have heard that a million times from other people or whatever, but the exact moment I heard it and I actually like accepted it and heard it, right? I might have like listened to it at one point, but I heard it this time. And I immediately went home, not immediately, a couple hours later went home, but and then met with my wife, and I'm like, we got to map out, why don't we just sit down and map out what we want our life to look like? How do we want to make our money? What do we want our business to look like? Where do we want to travel? What do we want to do on a daily basis? Do we want to raise money for charity? Do we want to go to all these places? What do we want our lifestyle to look like? And we spent a few weekends like actually doing that, and no business, just what do we want our life to look like? And we realized we didn't want a lot, right? We wanted to spend every single day together, like legitimately. And we have, like, since we did this, except for 3 weeks, she traveled Europe with her mom, which, boo-hoo, right? But other than that, those 3 weeks, we've spent literally like every day together since the end of 2017, because that's what we wanted. We wanted to be able to travel the world. We wanted a business that was mobile, so we can go wherever we are. We don't need to be tied to any place. We wanted to start a family. We wanted to be able to raise a lot of money for charity and different things. And we wanted to be able to impact others and have like a lifestyle style business. And we started like mapping this all out, and we're like, cool. Now, how do we make our company adapt to that? And not that we needed to like change a ton of stuff. We needed to change our roles in it and the processes for it to make life easier. And we just started adapting everything to where we can do that. And today that's what we do. So that was probably the most pivotal life-changing thing in my entire life. And to be honest, like what really triggered that was us accepting what we really wanted and giving ourselves permission to not want what everybody else wanted and maybe what the status quo wants. And realizing that like, I don't give a shit about Ferraris. Like, for instance, like my buddy Thatch has like 2, I think. I don't even have an interest sitting in them. Like, I don't care. Like, so why should I like want to have that or have a flashy car? I don't, right? I don't care about having a 10,000 square foot mansion somewhere, right? I'd rather have waterfront property. I want that. But I don't need, we spend all our money on travel. So why don't we just like, you don't need to make a lot of money to travel the world. So anyways, point being is be okay with what you want and then adapt your business around that and don't give a shit what other people think. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I got to say, it's impressive when I was, when I went up to Tarl January and we were hanging out and he was explaining how the whole team basically has their roles, right? Duties, jobs, positions, processes. But everybody's vested in a deal their own way. And Tarl just kind of controls the whole operation. So it's like Tarl's the CEO of the company. And then he's got everybody working underneath him doing their roles, tasks, and duties. And everybody has a financial vesting into it. So Tarl, I'm guessing you probably don't make as much money as if you were doing it yourself, but you can scale out and do as much or as little as you want and spend, I mean, it's a couple hours a week, right? You spend on these deals or was it a couple hours of flip? I forget what it was.
No. So yeah, it's easier to map out my time spent in real estate on a per deal basis. And if you figure we have a property for 3 months or 6 months, it doesn't matter. My time doesn't really change in that deal. It's about 4 to 6 hours, maybe 8 hours tops, like tops in one deal if we actually buy it and transact it throughout the whole thing. But most of the time it's between 4 and 6 hours from when we actually like identify it to when we actually sell it or rent it out, that my time is actually in the deal. And so if that's the course over 6 months, then you're talking 4 to 6 hours over 6 months in that one transaction of my time that's put in it. And most of that is put in on the front end, right after, like a little bit of time that I have to spend on confirming the analysis of it, right? And then my biggest chunk of time is because I have set guidelines for the analysis, and then I just have to double check it really quick, which maybe takes me like 10 minutes to 30 minutes max. And then the rest of the time is the planning portion, where we plan out the strategy of the deal and plan out the what we're going to do, this like how it's going to actually transact, and then set up the execution of it. And then after that, I just like check in on it every now and then. That's about it.
How did you sell the concept to the team members? Because did you have to change their pay structure or their buy-in on it?
So for a long time, we spent most of our pay structure with the people that worked with us were either independent contractors that were paid on a per project basis, or they were salary paid with some bonuses. So that's always worked out. And that's a great way to do it, by the way. Like you just do that all day. You can hire VAs for tasks. I know, Steve, you guys have a VA placement company. You can hire, like, especially if it's just like specific mundane tasks, definitely do that. Local people though, you might need salary paid positions like project managers, your assistant, like whatever it might be. For us, we had all that at one point. We had a lot of staff and a lot of salaries and overhead. When we decided to shift everything in our business, we went, who are the key people that like we will never want to live without? We want to see them have vested ownership and interest in the business long term. We want them to make a lot more money because we trust them, we love them, we believe in them, that kind of thing. So what can we do to be able to, 1, keep them super loyal, 2, keep them motivated, 3, make them excited, all that kind of stuff, and get rid of their salaries. So completely. So because we needed to be able to scale. So because what reached a point at the end of 2017, what kind of triggered all this is that I had to sell a property that I intended to keep as a BRRR because I needed, like, it was the almost 80 grand was the profit that we would have gotten out of it, plus some of our own capital. And we needed to sell it at that time because we had like a cash crunch. And I was so pissed that we had to sell that property because I wanted to keep it. I'm really pissed now looking back at it. But it was a triggering moment to go, like, we had to sell the property in order to keep feeding the machine because the overhead was such, the output was so much, the capital out was so much that we just had that like little 30-day window where we're like, shit, we got to sell this because we got to keep the machine going and we'll have more money 60, 90 days from now, but still. So that upset me. So the only way to scale down and scale up for us without firing people on a regular basis was to give them profit share. So we basically then split up now to where our key people have no salaries, but they're paid based off a profit share of the actual properties and the company itself. So even if it's a rental, they have the chance to either get paid out the profit of the rental right away, like as far as if we sold it, or they can keep ownership in it themselves with us based on percentages on what they actually do for us in the business. And people have loved it. So like when we do a ton of properties, I actually make less money when we do, because we have to pay out a lot more than we would have if it was salaries. Like if it was salaries, we'd make way more money if we just kept it at that way. But when we do less properties, which we wanted that scalable down, right, then I technically make more money than I would have if I was paying out those salaries, right? So because we're not paying out anything unless we're doing something. So that's the long way of answering your question, but it's really just adapting what works for you.
Yeah, and I mean, I gotta say, I mean, just knowing Nate and Serena and all the people on your team, I mean, it's pretty impressive how dedicated they are to to working with you and Grace and just building what you're doing. So I mean, to me, from the outside looking in, there's definitely buy-in. Like everyone seems like they believe in the culture and brand of what you've built, which is obviously impressive that you're able to do that shift, because nobody likes to have something perceived to be taken away from them, which people could have that perception if they were thinking that mindset.
Can I spend a second on that?
Yeah.
So I used to be a part of a company called Primerica Financial Services for about 6.5 years. And it was a 100% commission-based agency. Like we did financial planning for people, that kind of stuff. And one of the things that like I really learned in that business is that the people that are commission only, you're basically a volunteer army, right? Like they're choosing to work there because it's commission only. And in order to get the most out of people, even when they're commission only, in my opinion, and also the opinion of a lot of great leaders, is that you gotta like love all over them, treat them like family, really like break bread with them, make them feel like they're part of a team and not just some expendable asset or liability, not asset, liability inside your business that you can just fire at any minute. I don't believe at all, there's not an ounce in me that believes in the corporate mentality of not to get close to your people because you might have to fire them one day. The problem with getting close to your people and loving on them and making them feel like they're part of family and part of the team is that when they disappoint you, it hurts a hell of a lot more. It really does. But when they, like we had a really close team member that decided to leave and go work for Amazon. The whole team felt like they betrayed the shit out of all of us in so many ways. And I felt really hurt, right? Now we want more power to them, but Serena's hilarious. She pretty much like said that person's dead to her now because she left the team.
Wow.
But it's she's really loyal. But that's kind of what happens. Like, but it really hurt inside. It actually hurt me. Like I felt like, you're leaving us? What did we do? Right. But at the same time, we get so much out of our people because we love on them and we care for them and we want them to be successful in their personal lives and we want to know what's going on. But there's a balance there too. Like you don't let them walk all over you because they're your besties, right? There is a balance there. So you have to be able to go both ways, where you go, right now we're best friends and we're all hanging out. And then on this side over here, we're fucking in the business and we got shit to do and I don't care about your problems, right? So, and that's a hard balance to walk.
Well, it's a tough love. I think that, I think you've got great leadership skills, and I think that you have a vision, and I think that you've inspired them to believe in your vision. And I think people don't go to work for a paycheck. They go to work for a vision and they want to feel like they're making a difference. And obviously you've been able to do that. And like you said, I mean, you've got to have boundaries and barriers, of course, but I think the fact that you've been able to instill that greater vision and everyone following behind you, I mean, that's leadership and coming down, because if not, they'd be punching out any chance they got with a better deal. I think, especially right now, there's been a shift and a change and stuff. So, I mean, again, it's a good testament to you and Grace to what you built with your systems and everything, and empowering them to make the decisions. I question, Tarl, with everything going on right now in your area, what is going on with the moratoriums, the evictions, how are you guys doing up there?
Personally, we're fine. I mean, there's literally nothing on our personal rental portfolio. We don't own anything in the core area of Seattle, but even then, that doesn't really matter. Like talking to a lot of my friends and stuff too, is that we found that and we do a lot of, I always say this, like we talk to a lot of people that have a lot of properties, right? And most of the people that are suffering on collecting rents are people that own C-class properties with C or D-class tenants, like from what we've seen, right? At least experience. For us personally, our property might be in a C-class area, but it's an A-class property with like a B or A-class tenant, right? So they're been highly qualified. They got good jobs. Like we spent a lot of time on our tenant screening, like a lot of it. And like I don't care about sitting on a house for months until we get a great tenant. But as long as legally required, like blah blah blah, you're following all those pesky laws. But no, you do it, and we want the right tenant, and that fits our criteria. And you have to post all that stuff, and you just make it very very specific. And because of that, man, we haven't everybody. Even we have people that even lost their jobs that are still paying rent and stuff like that. And we're working with them, but even then, they're not asking for help because they're quality people. So, for lack of a better word, right? So, moratorium or not, I think Steve, you're the one that said this one time at I think one of my meetups, where most of the landlord laws are for the extreme rare circumstances for the bad landlord that should be like, you should have a law to protect the tenants from is the bad landlord, and that the vast majority of human beings and people like want to take care of their finances, pay their rent, take care of their responsibilities, that kind of stuff. So if you're not a horrible landlord and you screen great tenants leading up into it, then you're good.
Yeah.
The only time we have an issue right now is that I would not buy a property that has tenants already in it, especially if those tenants are like the family member of the person we're buying the property from. I would stay the hell away from that in a heartbeat. So, but anyways.
Yeah. Look, my company, we're managing 1,000 properties and, at the end of the day, they understand the rules of being a landlord. They know that they pay rent, they have a place to live. I mean, we're not going to the moon here. It's not rocket science.
No.
And it's just how they're treated, right? And it's setting the expectations, and, your problems start and stop with the tenant. You put the right tenant in, a lot of your problems go away. Put the wrong tenant in, shit happens. And so I think that, again, when you have that right tenant, you put the right person in, and you get the person with the right character, you screen them. I've learned many times over in the past that just because you put someone in doesn't mean it's rented. You just have a body in there. You're going to pay one way or the other. And I'd rather pay without them being in it and have it vacant than have them in it and then have to deal with the make ready and the turn. And on top of that, the mental stress that you go through with someone trashing your property and all that stuff. So I agree. Ashley, you haven't said a word. You're so quiet. What the hell?
Just an awe of your ability to moderate. Yeah.
We're just letting the bromance flow. We do have a question from Melody who wants kind of like personal advice. So if you could give her some pointers to start a flipping business. She has $70,000 cash on hand. She lives in a competitive market in California, and hard money seems too expensive. A little bit of background: she has a W-2 job, can do rehab herself, and she's getting a real estate license in 2 months. Motivated to quit her job within a year, and can't decide whether to flip or BRRRR.
So I am really bad at giving new person advice. I just want to throw that out there. But I am going to give advice, right? And because I didn't start normal, right? I didn't start like everybody else did. So, but I don't coach people or anything like that. But the few people that I've like spent a lot of time talking to, if you could only do the rehab because if the property financially only works out because you're the listing agent and because you can do the rehab, I think it's a horrible investment. Like, so it needs to be, you need to be able to, it's a bonus if you list it, and it's a bonus if you save money for the rehab because you do the rehab. So I definitely believe, set that aside and don't have that be the reason to like buy a property. And I'm just only saying that because if it doesn't financially work out otherwise, then it's not a good investment. So, but besides the point, starting out is if you're in a really expensive market, I was in a really expensive market, right? Seattle. I did not put $1 into any of my properties until probably, I don't know, like deal number 400 or whatever. Like I've always used other people's money. So you can either do it through joint venture partnerships. I'm a big fan of, if I'm going to go do something new that I've never done before, I'd rather just like partner with somebody that's done it and take a much smaller piece and then learn through that process and just have that. That's my investment, right, to myself, is that I'm investing in that deal to learn more so than make money for it. And if your business mentality is that I have to make every penny I can off of this one property because it might be the only property I ever do, well, that's not a business mentality. So, keep your open mind to that. So find joint venture partners, people that have done it before. Maybe you could take your 70K and use that as part of your buy into the deal, and then like be a shadow and like help out, like that kind of stuff as much as you can. But it's not enough. Like 70K is not enough to do a flip in most of the places in California. And because you're going to need 20% down if it's hard money, or 10%, even 10% down. And then you got all hard money payments, which are 10 to 12%. And hard money is a tool, right? We use it all. Well, we don't use it all the time anymore. We use private money, but there's nothing wrong with hard money. Hard money is definitely a normal tool. So for the business,
Yeah. And
one trick with hard money lenders, if you get a property and you send it to hard money lender and they won't lend on it, don't buy the deal, right? Because it means it's a bad deal. I'm just letting you know that. You might want to send it more than one, but most hard money lenders will lend, right? So if they're not going to lend on it, it's because they think it's a shitty deal. So keep that in mind. That's how I used to figure out if it was a good deal or not when I didn't know what I was doing, is I just sent it to hard money lenders. And if they said no, then I didn't buy it. So anyways.
We had on Daryl from Noble Mortgage in Houston a couple weeks ago, and he said that too. He's like, I'll look at the deal and I'll tell you if it's a good deal or not. I'm like, your checks and balances.
Yeah, just make sure they know your market. Like that's one of the problems with like out-of-state hard money lenders right now is like, especially in my market, they don't know how to comp Seattle. Seattle's a freaking beast, but I would rather send it to a local hard money lender if it's my market. But most other markets, it's okay to do it in, but just know your market. Make sure they know your market if they're going to comp it. So that's all.
Alan had messaged me and asked if you ever sell your GC contract template. He's not in your market, but has a 12 unit in Columbus and looking to do a BRRR.
So absolutely not, only because it's a Washington state construction contract. So it's only legal in Washington. So it's just like you would have to get an attorney to be a part of that. So like, and I don't mind giving it to people, but just know you can't use it like unless you're in Washington. And then even then you might need to adjust it for yourself. So always have an attorney look at your stuff, like if you're going to do it, or do what most of us investors do. We steal from our friends and other investors and use their contracts until one day we can afford an attorney to double check the contract. So that's what most of us actually do. So,
or you
like,
start that way, and like you just said, have your attorney double check it. I mean, that's a lot cheaper
when you can afford it. So,
to start.
Yeah, well, you're starting out. You don't put in money into a freaking attorney. You don't even know to do that. So, but anyways, I didn't know to do that. Then one day I was like, maybe we should get an attorney to look at some of half the shit we're using. So, but that took a while to get to that point.
And some attorneys, mine will do this, is they'll actually give you templates for stuff, and then you just fill it in each time, and you save money that way instead of recreating the contract every time.
I have a really good friend of mine that Steve knows, James Daynard. I got the construction contract from him initially, and I'm like, James got a big business. He probably had his attorney make it, so I'm sure it's good. And then one day I had my attorney look at it, but I probably took a year before I actually had my attorney look at it. So, anyways.
Okay. What was the latest new term
put
into your GC contract from a recent lesson learned or fiasco?
Nothing. So but I would say, like, if you're going to be clear on your GC contract, I would definitely just make sure that you have something in there for change orders. That would be a piece of advice to give. Like we've had that, but just make sure it's clear that your general contractor can't just do the work and that you have to approve the change orders. So before they can actually do it, but that way it saves you that if they end up just doing the work randomly and sending you the change orders and they didn't get anything in writing or that you approved it, you can totally contest it. If you don't, depending on your state law, Washington's one of these states, if you don't have that in there and the contract approved they did the work and it kind of had like an open-ended version of it, I'd have to legally pay that change order even if I contested it. So, but my contract states that I don't have to pay shit unless I approved it. So just have that as part of your contract for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on with us today. Are you going to swing across?
Yeah, swing down.
I can't swing one-handed, but I can do this, right? Whee! So I can do that. But
hey, Tarl. So we got a couple minutes left. I know you got a hard stop. Can we talk a little bit about the PNW, and are you doing the Travis Mills this year again, or what are you doing? Did he fall? Did he fall?
He did say he had his harness on. Maybe he dropped his phone.
This could be bad. Maybe we're not going to Seattle now, Ashley.
Am I here? Can you guys hear me?
We thought maybe you fell or something.
No. I'm in. Like I lost my video. I don't know how to. Damn it! I pushed the wrong button on my phone. Anyways, but you guys can hear me still, right?
You got a nice still image of you holding on to the ring.
Like, maybe we're not going to Seattle now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's great. So,
tell everyone a little bit more about PNW, and also the other question is the Travis Mills. Are you doing that again this year?
Yeah, we're doing the Travis Mills Foundation. A portion of proceeds go to them. It's hard to run an online auction, so we're working on that. So we might not be able to do the same charity auction that we do every year. But it's go to PNW Real Estate Expo or badassexpo.com. And it is September 18th and 19th. Ticket prices go up on Friday. So Thursday's the last day to get tickets before we raise our prices. We got Robert Kiyosaki, Brandon Turner, Ken McElroy, ABC's Real Estate Investing, 40 sessions, massive networking. We were not going to do this event until we figured out how you guys can network with each other effectively, because it really sucks just going to a chat room. So this is not the way. You could actually set up your own virtual meets, do these video Zooms yourself. Like everything's built through our entire platform. It's super awesome and interactive, plus all the exhibitors and all the sessions, of course. You get all the recordings. And if you use the discount code THINK10, you get 10% off your ticket.
Nice.
But it expires Thursday night. So
I put a link to the website, and then I put the promo code in there too for everyone.
Perfect. Yep. So check it out. Get your tickets before prices go up Thursday night. And even if you can't make it, you'll still be able to participate in the networking app that we have and do all the video stuff. And that networking portion of it is going to stay open even after the event. And you do get all the recordings of all 40 sessions, whether you show up or not.
Yeah, so. And it's Tarl. He always has class people. I mean, it's really, really good. Now, Tarl, is it Think 10 or Think Tank? Which one is it?
Think Tank.
Think 10. 10.
10, not tank, Ashley. 10, the number 10.
It was in our email.
We'll have to change it. He texted me. He said
you
it
guys just try it. Try each one.
Try each one. Yeah. Well, hey, Tarl, I know you got a hard stop, man. I appreciate your time today, brother. Thanks so much. And again, everybody, we'll if you guys want to stay on, we can talk a little bit more. I know Tarl's got a hard stop, so thanks so much, Tarl. Appreciate it.
I'm back.
Oh. You there?
It's Think 10. Think 10.
Someone just used Think Tank, and that worked too. So maybe they both work.
That's crazy. Whatever. It's Think 10. It should be that, but whatever. You type in anything. I guess it all works.
Type in Tarl.
Yeah.
Type in Think 50. Maybe you'll get 50% off.
Yeah, who knows?
Type it. Yeah.
But, all right. Thanks, guys. I got to go.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Tarl. We'll see you, man.
Bye.
All right. Well, what'd you guys think? Pretty good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tarl's a good dude. He's a very great guy. Very, very open. You ask him something, you know,
the preview of the ropes course too.
Yeah, he did all that himself. He's actually he learned how to put it around the trees without it penetrating the trees. So he had some guy in Austria send him the plans, and he showed me the whole thing. It's pretty high up, I'll tell you that, because I was up there with him, and as he was talking, I was just staring over the whole time. And we had to climb a cargo net to get up there. So it was.
I can't wait to see who gets a better time completing the obstacle course.
Yeah, probably won't be me, but anyways, yeah. So he's definitely got some great stuff. He's a great guy. If you ever reach out to him, again, that's his zone. You know, the BRRR, the flipping, and all that. So he's been a very, very good friend of mine over the years. And whenever I need something, I reach out, and he's been able to help, especially in that area. of the country. If you guys have questions or something, I mean, that's kind of what we do, is we're trying to help everyone out. I see someone's asking for Instagram signs, codes, handles, whatever you guys call them. So if you guys have your Instagram IG, we'll tag everybody. So put it in the comments. Wow, there we go. Cool.
Also, our next session will be Monday, September 14th at 4 p.m. Eastern. And we'll have Mark Willis on, and his topic is going to be fire your real estate banker.
Yeah, I had him on a podcast show last time with me, and it was very interesting talking about using life insurance and other ways to utilize money, which was stuff that I had never even thought of or heard of. And it was very interesting, the different ways that you can utilize money. We're just talking with Chris and Sheena today about hard money and everything, and it was that's another thing. So another way to get money. It doesn't have to be hard money. It can be your insurance policy, your other 401k, or other stuff. So there's a lot of ways to get money, and a lot of people, I think, we get caught up in money. How do we get it? What do we do? That's the easy part. Getting the deal and making sure it's the right deal that matches your life and your strategy and all that. That's really where you should be focusing your time. Don't focus on the money. The money's the easy part.
Everyone, this is my mom. I wanted to introduce her real quick, and I wanted to introduce my mom to Steve. He's the guy I met on the internet that invited me to come to his house like a few weeks ago.
Came all the way to Texas.
Yeah, great. Just what a mother wants to hear, huh?
Yes. And then she was
Bring your kids to my house tonight.
Then we did a bunch of filming with her.
Yeah.
Hey, but we did return her in one piece, so that's got to mean something, right?
You did.
She'd probably rather not, so then she could keep my voice.
Yeah, you could keep her forever.
We don't want her.
When she went to Hawaii, I was hoping for a tsunami so that I could keep her voice.
We made sure she got on that plane. We wanted her heading back as quick as possible.
Yeah, I'm sure. She's a wild gal.
Very.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Take care.
All right. Ashley, you're turning red.
You always say that to me. I think I'm always red.
Probably. All right. Does anybody have anything? Comments, likes, discussions? After the 14th, we'll come back. I'll do a mindset shift on some topics. Maybe I can squeeze one in on Monday when we come back, Ashley. For the people on the 60-day challenge, if you're on here, we did move it from Thursday to Friday. We'll make it a happy hour. So it's Friday at 5:30 Central for the 60-day challenge people, and we're going to make it a happy hour day. And we're going to do a lot of cool stuff. So for the 60-day challenge people, you got that. And again, please go to Tarl's event. It's really, really good. I mean, the guy got Kiyosaki on there, right? And he does donate a lot of the stuff to charity. So he actually has the Travis Mills Foundation. If you look him up, he's a for amputee. I'm not sure what it's called, but military veteran, super cool guy. I met him at the last event. They auctioned me off and other people and stuff for our time. So we all donated our time. Very, very cool. And Charity wants Tarl's wife on. Yeah, we'll have Grace on. Grace is super, super cool. Very, very nice. She just gave birth, I think, 6 weeks ago. So probably need a little bit of a time lapse on that. But yeah, Grace is super, super cool. Very, very, very pleasant.
And also for the expo, I'll be speaking at 2:45 Pacific time. So make sure you guys watch my presentation.
Yes, watch her.
No other important ones at that time.
I'm going to be talking about how to scale from 0 to 1,000 properties and why people don't even cross the starting line to get going. So I don't know what you're talking about, Ashley, but
partnerships and finding unique deals where other people don't.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
You actually gave me that topic idea. So
I did that on purpose because I knew we were going head to head. I gave you a boring topic on purpose.
Okay, we have to go now. This is going to get out of control.
Yeah, we got to go. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much. I appreciate everyone being here. We had like 80 people on, so that was awesome. We will see you guys on the 14th. And please tag us, share it on Instagram, all that kind of stuff. It's awesome. Please keep sharing it out when we do it because it just brings more people in. So we can help more people, which is all we're trying to do. So thanks so much. Appreciate it. And we will see you guys on the 14th. Bye-bye.
Right.
Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye.